When Sydney Sweeney walked onto the red carpet in that silver, almost see-through gown, the internet stopped in its tracks. Cameras flashed, the crowd gasped, and within hours, social media was flooded with reactions. Some called it bold and fearless, others labeled it desperate and attention-seeking. What was supposed to be just another glamorous Hollywood moment quickly spiraled into one of the biggest celebrity controversies of the year. And at the center of it all was Sydney Sweeney, a rising star suddenly facing a storm of criticism she probably didn't expect. For those who don't know, Sydney isn't new to being in the spotlight. After her breakout role in HBO's Euphoria, she became one of Hollywood's most talked-about actresses. Her combination of raw talent and striking looks helped her land leading roles and brand deals. But along with fame comes constant scrutiny, and Sydney has always been aware that every outfit, every quote, and every appearance can be dissected in ways she can't control. Still, no one imagined that a single dress would ignite such an explosive debate about morality, body image, and what's considered appropriate for women in Hollywood. The dress itself was undeniably stunning. Designed by Christian Cohen, it shimmered under the lights, catching every flash and camera angle perfectly. But what made it controversial was its transparency. The gown's sheer silver panels gave the illusion that Sydney was wearing almost nothing underneath. For some, it was a breathtaking fashion statement, a confident, glamorous look that showed she wasn't afraid of expressing herself. For others, especially conservative voices online, it crossed the line. Within minutes of her appearance, headlines started popping up accusing her of overexposing herself at a women's empowerment event. That's right, this all went down during Variety's Power of Women event, where Sydney was supposed to be honored for her work and influence, not judged for her fashion choices. What really threw gasoline on the fire was when political commentator Megyn Kelly decided to weigh in. On her show, she went after Sydney's outfit, calling it completely see-through, and saying it was inappropriate for an event celebrating women's achievements. Kelly claimed the dress made it hard to take Sydney seriously, implying that her fashion choice undermined her own message about empowerment. Within hours, clips of Kelly's comments went viral, sparking a full-blown debate across social media. Some agreed with Kelly, saying the gown was too revealing for such an occasion, while others accused Kelly of hypocrisy and old-fashioned double standards. The irony is that Kelly later tried to soften her stance, saying she didn't mean to personally attack Sydney, but rather to comment on Hollywood's obsession with provocative red carpet moments. But by then, the damage was done. Sydney's name was trending for all the wrong reasons, and instead of her speech or her recent achievements, the conversation was entirely about her body. The controversy became less about fashion and more about how society still polices women's choices in the spotlight. At the same time, many celebrities came to Sydney's defense. One of the most unexpected supporters was actress Sharon Stone, who commented on social media saying, "It's okay to use what mama gave you." That short line exploded online. Fans praised Stone for standing up for Sydney's right to dress however she wanted, while critics saw it as another example of Hollywood normalizing overexposure. But the defense highlighted a larger truth. Women in entertainment constantly walk a tightrope between empowerment and objectification, and sometimes the difference depends entirely on who's watching. What made the whole thing even more controversial was the timing. Sydney's speech at the event had been about women supporting each other and embracing confidence. But that message got buried under the noise of the backlash. Instead of discussing her work or her success, the narrative turned into an argument over whether she had gone too far for attention. It's a pattern we've seen before. When women in Hollywood try to take control of their image, they're celebrated by some and torn apart by others. Sydney became the latest example of how quickly admiration can turn into outrage. On social media, the reactions were divided. Some users praised her confidence, calling her a modern Marilyn Monroe for embracing her sensuality while still owning her power. Others accused her of cheapening the event's purpose. The most interesting part, though, was that the loudest criticism didn't come from her fans or the entertainment world. It came from commentators and influencers who used the moment to push their own agendas about morality and culture. The situation snowballed into something far bigger than a red carpet look. It became a cultural talking point about what's acceptable for women in the public eye, especially when the line between fashion and controversy is intentionally blurred. But here's the thing that most people missed. Sydney's choice wasn't random. Every element of her appearance that night, the styling, the designer, even the metallic tone, was part of a carefully planned moment. Hollywood red carpets are built around creating conversation. The right outfit can dominate headlines for days, driving publicity far beyond any traditional marketing. Whether intentional or not, Sydney's gown did exactly that. She became the most talked about celebrity of the night, and her name stayed in trending lists long after the event ended. In today's attention economy, that's power. Still, this incident exposed something deeper about celebrity culture. Fans say they want authenticity, but when stars express themselves freely, they're often met with judgment. Sydney has spoken before about feeling objectified early in her career, saying she often felt like her talent was overshadowed by her looks. So when she wore the gown, some fans believed she was reclaiming control over how she's seen. It was her way of saying, I can be smart, successful, and sexy at the same time. But to others, it was proof that Hollywood's definition of empowerment is still tied to revealing outfits and shock value. The backlash also showed how quickly the internet can twist narratives. A moment meant to celebrate women's accomplishments became a debate about modesty. Critics said her dress sent the wrong message to young fans, while defenders argued that telling a woman what she can or cannot wear is the exact opposite of empowerment. The conflicting reactions proved one thing: no matter what women in the spotlight do, someone will always find a reason to criticize them. And yet, despite all the noise, Sydney handled the situation with calm professionalism. She didn't respond publicly or feed into the outrage cycle. That silence itself became part of the story. Fans noticed how she stayed focused on her projects and continued posting her usual content, refusing to let the backlash define her. That quiet confidence spoke louder than any interview could. It was a subtle reminder that sometimes the best way to respond to criticism is to keep moving forward. Behind the scenes, insiders say the controversy might have actually helped her brand. Searches for Sweeney skyrocketed after the event. Designers reportedly reached out, wanting to collaborate with her for upcoming award shows. Even though the initial reaction was mixed, her visibility soared, proving once again that in Hollywood, controversy often equals opportunity. The line between scandal and strategy can be razor thin, and Sydney's team clearly knows how to navigate it. But the conversation didn't stop there. In the days that followed, several commentators began asking bigger questions. Why do women's bodies still cause such discomfort when shown on their own terms? Why are female celebrities constantly expected to dress modestly to be taken seriously? These are the same questions that have followed stars like Rihanna, Beyoncé, and Zendaya throughout their careers. Sydney's moment was just the latest chapter in that ongoing story. Whether people realize it or not, fashion has always been political, especially for women trying to control their own narrative. What's fascinating is how Sydney's image has evolved since this controversy. Instead of backing down, she's continued to lean into her style choices unapologetically. Each appearance after the dress incident has carried a quiet message of confidence, as if to say she's done explaining herself. Fans love that energy. It's raw, it's real, and it's exactly what keeps people watching. In a way, the silver gown became a symbol. For some, it represented everything wrong with Hollywood's obsession with appearance. For others, it represented freedom, control, and the right to be whoever you want to be without asking permission. The fact that one outfit could trigger such polarized reactions says more about the audience than the celebrity herself. Even months later, people are still referencing that night. Fashion analysts call it one of the most talked about red carpet moments of the year. Commentators have dissected it in think pieces, and fans still argue in comment sections. Whether people loved it or hated it, no one ignored it. And in today's world, where attention is currency, Sydney came out winning. But the deeper question remains, what does empowerment really look like in 2025? Is it about speaking up, taking risks, or simply being yourself no matter who disagrees? Sydney's dress may have been sheer, but the message behind it was layered. It exposed how easily society shifts from celebrating women to shaming them, depending on how much skin they show. It showed that progress isn't as simple as posting about confidence and equality. It's about letting people live that confidence without constant judgment. By the end of it all, Sweeney didn't lose fans. She gained even more attention and perhaps more respect from those who saw her standing firm through the noise. Whether you think her dress was empowering or excessive, there's no denying she turned one red carpet into a cultural moment. And maybe that's what real influence looks like, not playing it safe, but making people talk, question, and feel something. Because at the end of the day, fashion fades, trends shift, and controversies die down, but confidence, especially the kind that refuses to apologize, stays unforgettable. Sydney's silver gown might have sparked outrage, but it also started a conversation the world clearly needed to have. And in Hollywood, that might just be the most powerful look of all.